Hey everyone, welcome back to Youth Bombs. I'm Craig.
I'm David.
I am Coleman.
And we're the voice of young conservatives in Alachua County. President-elect Trump is talking a lot about new territory for the United States, looking at Greenland, the Panama Canal, and Canada. Certainly an interesting addition that I didn't see him proposing during the campaign trail. So this has been an interesting development, but I want to get your thoughts, Coleman. What do you think? Do you want all three, two, one, none? What's your deal?
Okay, well, there's a lot to break down. So, but as far as like, why would he not bring this up on the campaign trail? I think it's just a matter of, one, I think it would divide his base, and I think it evidently has, just looking off of social media. And then, though I think a lot of people are also like kind of indifferent. Like, okay, sure. But I think when we're looking at this, it's a matter of, could this acquisitions actually help us economically? Can we afford them? Because we're kind of in like a massive debt, you know? So would these additions yield a big enough return on investment so that we could, you know, get out of our, you know, $34 trillion debt? That would be nice, but that's sort of where I'm at this. And I'm glad we're sort of like, we're having, if we are going to do like bring back American expansion, I don't know, some people say imperialism, it's a matter of, okay, I can see, I'm glad we're going the approach of like economic pressure rather than like, I don't know, what we've done in the past, which is like regime changing or just like bombing the shit out of other countries. So I don't know.
Yeah, no need for military intervention, of course. Yeah. David, are you feeling manifest destiny or not so much?
I'm feeling it a little bit. And you see mainstream media try to paint Trump, oh, he's radical. This is completely out of left field. But the truth is, we've been trying to have Greenland for the past 150 years. Truman even tried to propose so that we could have Greenland. And about Panama, we fought against an invasion of Panama in 1989. So we fought for Panama. Why can't we have Panama? And Greenland is full of natural resources, and it's rich in natural resources, and it's closer to us than it's closer to Europe. So why can't we have Greenland as well?
Right, makes sense. I think looking at the Panama Canal, Carter gave it up for $1 in a treaty. I think that was a ridiculous move. That was foolish. And now we don't get the fees and the income from running the Panama Canal. So that should have stayed in U.S. hands, would have been beneficial for our country, would have been beneficial for our companies. We built it. It's ours, and we want it back.
Okay, yeah, so I think we should give a little bit of like the history as well. So let's see. The construction began 1904 after the U.S. acquired rights to the Banau-Varilla Treaty. Let's see. There was a treaty signed. Yeah, this is a Carter Treaty. Torrijos-Carter Treaty signed in 1977. So yes, that's when we gave it up, and then the agreement was formalized. We transferred the Panama Canal to the Republic of Panama. It was formalized in December 31st, 1999. Now, I think the concern here, I remember Trump, he was talking about, okay, there's like China's somehow involved in the Panama Canal now, and I think if that's true, it would make sense because, well, China's a much more powerful government than Republic of Panama, and then of course we don't like China, they're an adversary, so it'd be good to get control of that canal again. I don't know. So, okay, I don't really see. You know, I'm like pro. I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm. It would be good to have the leverage over China because when you look at Panama, as you said, much smaller country, much weaker than the United States. So if it's in our hands, then we have an advantage over China, whereas Panama could be much more likely to acquiesce. But now looking at Greenland, a lot of natural resources, rich in those, only 56,000 people or so. Do we want it or not?
It has a good strategic position as well, seeing as how it's in the Atlantic and it's relatively close to Europe and closer to Russian too from that side. And yeah, it just seems that the only thing standing in our way would be the European Union. There was like some guy from the European Union who try to say that, they wouldn't like it if we had Greenland. But the European Union hasn't had a military since World War II. The European Union military is our military, and we're the kings. And we can, if we want to take Greenland, then we can take Greenland. And there's nothing that the European Union can do about it because they don't really mean anything. We're the big boss.
There you go. The big thing, though, is looking at Denmark, because they control Greenland officially. So we would have to contend with that. But, I think that we can certainly work out a deal. But the other question remains about all these territories and looking at who gets what. Is Trump trying to get earned media and free press? Who came up with this idea? Because that's a good question. Like, where did this come from, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to Greenland, but, like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Why?
So, I saw briefly that I can't even explain this, but allegedly there's, like, these, like, billionaire cosmetic people who have a interest in the market of Greenland for some reason. And perhaps, like, I guess the rumor was they were getting in Trump's ear. So I don't really know. And then when you, like, further consider this conversation, of course, you get people like, well, why is America trying to get Greenland? I mean, America's owned by Israel. So, like, it was more like Israel wants Greenland. And I'm like, then that just complicates things. And, I don't even know why Israel even would want Greenland. But I think as far as it's a matter of, what else do we do in Greenland? You mentioned natural resources.
Strategic interests.
Strategic interests. Russia obviously doesn't want us to have Greenland. It's a matter of, like, how much money do we actually spend on it? I mean, I heard briefly that we'd train special forces there. As far as money, we spend like $50 million annually in engagement in Greenland. Great question. I mean, do people know where Greenland is? Well, they should. I mean, if our education system is any good. But anyway, we'll see. It's also a matter of, there's something called, like, a free association agreement, which is interesting, where either it's like how you want to classify, like, how independent you would want in Greenland to be, as I guess separate from Denmark. The problem I'm also seeing is, like, if this Greenland territory becomes, like, a free association, enters a free association agreement, we have to, like, we go from spending like $50 million a year to like $700 million a year, which would be crazy. I think that's probably also the conversation of why we would rather have it as a state. So that's a little bit more of the technical stuff behind this, if it makes any sense.
Right, a lot of financial factors to consider with Greenland, but the biggest one out of them all, Canada. I am a strong no on Canada. I do not want Canada.
Are you not Maple MAGA, Craig?
I'm not Maple MAGA. Look, Canada would just vote Democrat in every election. We'd be giving them at least 2 Senate seats if we made the entire country a state. If we made it a territory, it would give everyone U.S. citizenship, and they could just move here and dilute the state's blue. So, look, I'm a no on Canada. Canada is our buddy, and we can trade with them, we can ally with them, but I do not want their political influence on our federal government whatsoever. There would be a disaster. And another thing is Trudeau just resigned. So as basically, another person's ready to replace him, right? Polyev, who will likely win.
You like a hockey player or something?
He is the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada, yeah. So big stuff there. Could be a huge wave election for the Conservatives. But, we'll see how things work out in terms of this. But do you guys see him as the Trump of Canada? Like, are you aware of him, and do you see him in that light?
I'm not aware of him, but I think it's, what I guess I'm more interested in is, like, again, can we afford Canada? Will actually help us pay off our debt. I guess, sure, you can make the argument. I see your point, Craig, as a matter of, like, oh, they're like Democrat liberal people. And I'm like, maybe. But
they are, like, for sure.
Like, for sure. There's just, like, no argument there. Okay.
Like, no argument, no question. I've seen the numbers. I've looked at the data. Like there's no question.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a interesting take. It's also, I guess, if you're a Republican, I guess, in the leader of it, say Trump, like, how much jeopardy do you want to put your own party in? Because you kind of need to, like, keep your three, the triad of the, House, Senate, and executive, because if any one of those goes down, or like the House or Senate, your entire, like, the Democrats are so vehemently against you at this point, like, they're gonna shut you down. So it's interesting. We'll see. I think as far as the money, I'll briefly mention. I think it's like 32 million. Other things I'll mention briefly are Trump was arguing, we spend too much money on defense of Canada, which I think is a little bit more nuanced than that, because we don't like directly give them money. It's like more part of like agreements, like I guess NATO, whatever. But I don't know. I'm like indifferent. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What about you, David?
Yeah, I think maybe it could be a territory in the future, but I think there's more interest in Greenland and Panama.
Yeah.
I see more strategic interest there, and natural resources in Greenland, of course. And about what you were saying about Canada also experiencing a shift in culture. We see this all around the world. There seems to be a shift in the culture, but the problem is it's reminding me of 2016 when there was a shift to populism. And what we saw was that big tech, which was controlled by governments, they were founded in order to combat communism, the rise of communism, so that it wouldn't threaten America and free countries. But they've turned to combat populism, and especially what they've been doing against Bolsonaro and against other candidates is they've been unfairly forcing them out of the races and censoring them through big tech. How they infiltrated these countries was they said, we're going to put...
Who's they?
Huh?
Government. The government, yeah.
Yeah.
Or as who? Other words, as Mike Pence would say, like the blob.
The CIA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really, how they infiltrated the countries was they said, we're gonna fight for free speech in these countries in order to combat communism. So then big tech plays a large part in the elections, and now what they're doing is now they want to combat populism. So then they censor populist candidates, and I'm just really hoping that doesn't happen again in 2024 when there is a shift in the culture and people are looking towards more populist candidates. I really hope that people aren't being unfairly forced out of the race, unfairly prosecuted, or thrown in jail for having populist beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Good points there, and they will certainly throw everything they can at a conservative, a populist, a nationalist, anyone who's willing to challenge the system as a whole. Mm-hmm. By the way, just for reference, there are 40 million people in Canada and 56,000 in Greenland. So big difference. But I think we can talk all day long about the different territories, right, and whether or not we should acquire them. But I think we have to keep our eyes on the prize. Deportations. Yeah. That's what I want. That's what I voted for. That's what MAGA wants. And that's what we need. But that being said, thanks everyone so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We upload 3 times a week. If you'd like to reach out to us, feel free at youthbombs@electoralrepublicans.com. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.